talk about what's going on with the recession, potential recession. You know, President Biden is on a little bit of a vacation. He was down riding bikes. We saw him riding bikes and all of that. Now he's at the beach. And meanwhile, while the Democratic Party has been singularly focused on the January 6th hearings, which are currently going on, they're still going on, a number of top economists and investors are breaking the glass on the emergency alarm and warning all of us that a recession is all but inevitable or might actually already be here, which we'll get to in a second. This is what some economists saying. U.S. has a 40% chance of tumbling into recession next year, Wall Street analysts say, and others say it's happening now. Peter Schiff is one of those. He's been deadly accurate before on the housing crisis, among other accurate predictions. No one paid attention to him then. Now he's saying we're already in. And by the way, what's funny about Peter Schiff is I used to interview him. Remember on Fox, he'd be on our show all the time. And then I guess he fell out of favor because he was saying things that they didn't like. So he's like not been back on any of the mainstream media now anymore. Like he used to be on CNBC, and I think he started getting into some tiffs with those guys and not carrying the corporate water for those guys.
Yeah.
So now he's not on there. Anyway, now Peter Schiff is saying that we're already in a recession and it's going to be worse than we can even imagine. Here's Peter Schiff.
Well, first of all, I think the recession has already started. I think we're in it now. It's just early. In fact, the first quarter was already a negative print. And I don't think it's going to be a mild recession. I think this recession is going to be worse than the Great Recession that started following the 2008 financial crisis. So, and remember, the government didn't see that one coming either. And in fact, when we were 6 or 7 months into that recession, the Federal Reserve and other economists still claimed that there was no recession anywhere in sight. So this recession is going to be much worse than that one. And what's going to make it particularly problematic is inflation, because inflation is actually going to be exacerbated by the recession. So Americans are going to have the worst of both worlds, a worse recession than the Great Recession of '08, but worse inflation than anything we experienced during the 1970s.
Yes, that's true. And my belief is that we were not allowed to properly recover from the 2008 recession because we had so many market perversions. We had so many government bailouts, and we had so many artificially low prices due to the Walmart, Amazon, China trifecta. And so consumers never really felt the pain of that in a real way. Although, I'm saying this, but I know how many people had their 401ks wiped out, savings plans wiped out, right? But as a society, as a collective society, we never pulled ourselves collectively out of it.
No, because the Fed just kept printing money.
Yes.
They kept printing money and they artificially inflated things.
It hurt savers in a big way, right?
And so now, if you look at where we are right now, this recession was solely created by the same frickin' central bankers. The same guys that propped up Wall Street and big businesses and lobbyists while at the same time consolidating control. That's it. But don't worry, President Biden says he just got off the phone with failed Obama economic advisor, Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and he says no need to worry about a recession. We got this. Listen.
We're saying a recession's even more likely than ever.
Not the majority of them aren't saying that. Come on, don't make things up, okay? Now you sound like a Republican politician. I'm joking. That was a joke. But all kidding aside, no, I don't think it is. I was talking to Larry Summers this morning from the camp, and there's nothing inevitable about a recession.
So he says in this Bloomberg piece, he's like, look, yeah, I spoke with Larry Summers. I just got off the phone with the guy. And literally like the guy who's gotten it wrong multiple times, like Larry Summers, right? Totally inaccurate, right? I just got off the phone with him. We're all good to go. He says it's not inevitable. If we just do a few things, little things, we're good to go. It's amazing because Larry Summers was on Meet the Press on Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. So one day later, he's telling President Biden that no, recession's not inevitable. On Sunday, he was telling Chuck Todd this. Watch.
Is a recession, a mild one, necessary in order to tame inflation? Can inflation at this point be tamed without triggering a recession?
I don't think there are historical precedents for inflation at the rate we now have it coming down to the target the Fed has set of 2% without a recession. I think all the precedents point towards a recession, Chuck. There's always a first time for everything, and I don't want ever to make forecasts.
So,
well, look, if we can do something to print our way out of it,
Right.
we'll avoid it. But all the models show that, yes, we have to go through a recession in order to fix the market.
so then when I get on the phone with the president a day later, I just give him a line of shit. Like I just give him a line of crap. Like I think it's inevitable.
Well,
This
he
could
didn't
be a-
ask for the models,
It could be a
right?
first time for everything, Chuck, that we won't have a recession based on these modelings. So then he tells the president that it's not inevitable and that there's a few little things he can do. So these are the same people, by the way, that told us all before. These are the same people that all of this was going to be transitory, right? The same people that were huddled around President Biden. They were telling, and what they told us was wrong. So we're going to start believing them, the Larry Summers of the world, the Janet Yellens of the world. Janet Yellen, remember this?
Was wrong then about the path that inflation would take. As I mentioned, there have been unanticipated and large shocks to the economy that have boosted energy and food prices and supply bottlenecks that have affected our economy badly that I at the time didn't fully understand.
Okay. Yeah, but how many other people understood this, right?
Well, lots.
A lot,
If
right?
you listen to economist podcasts like I do.
I mean, a lot, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A lot
have
of
been
people.
saying that. Yeah,
But
a
don't
lot.
worry, they have a plan. So now that Biden talked with Larry Summers during his beach vacation, this is according to Bloomberg, the White House and congressional Democrats are in talks on legislation that aims to fight inflation, to rein in the deficit and revive parts of Biden's agenda. The contours of a potential deal remain under negotiation, but the package would likely include capping of the price of insulin.
For you, not for the pharmaceuticals. They can still charge high prices, but to your insurance company, go on.
Okay, so they're going to cap the price of insulin, a key medicine for diabetics,
Right.
and federal investments in both clean energy and fossil fuels. People briefed on the talks said last week. Well, we solved it. Way to go.
That's the way.
That's the way. Literally, that's the plan. That's how we're going to combat inflation. Capping insulin prices. And I don't mean to be cynical, but that's not going to do a damn thing. And also
no, because
federal
the
investments in clean
pharmaceuticals will
energy.
charge the same for it. They're only going to cap the price that you pay, not the price that they'll charge your insurance. That was never a part of the legislation.
So just answer me this, riddle me this, Batman.
Okay.
What federal investment in clean energy and fossil fuels is going to help the fact that the government printed trillions of dollars that it didn't have? Like, what the hell is that going to do?
Yeah,
Nothing.
Maybe.
No, I know you like to be the positive
Right. I'm just
person.
trying to read between the lines. And maybe they are actually trying to infer that, yeah, there has to be a painful inflection point for all of us. And so we're going to go back to this because the mention of Biden's agenda makes me think, okay, maybe he wants to continue to push any social programs that he has, or, you
Right,
know,
the
this
clean energy stuff.
or this commitment to the environment. And maybe he's saying, you know, we can't help the rest of it. We can't bail out the rest of it. It's all kind of a hot mess. We're going to let the economic models do what they need to do. And then when the dust settles, I don't know. That's my
Well,
rainbow to this
One
cloud.
of the things he said on the beach that we didn't play was they were talking about gas prices, and he said, "Well, I'm having a meeting with the task force. We're going to be meeting with the oil and gas companies, and we're really excited about electric cars, and we're hoping that everyone will be buying an electric car." Which, as we talked about, the average price of an electric car, I believe, is $55,000 or $63,000. It's like pretty damn high for the average price of an electric car. So even if we just round down to $50,000,
Right. And the manufacturing of them is not a clean technology.
right? So who has? And then of course the electricity used also, like it doesn't, unless you're using it powered by solar, right? So 50,000. Who's got $50,000 laying around to go buy an electric car because of your forced inflation?
during
See-
a recession, that's not a recession.
Right. Yeah. It's not a recession. And you created this. Like, your government created this with these sanctions and the printing of money. So this idea
On both sides, right? This is bipartisan issue. So we're blaming the Biden administration, but this has been a runaway train for a long time. It really does not matter which side of the aisle is in power. These forces have continued.
Yeah, although it would be, it would be interesting to see if who's, how much of a response there would be to the sanctions from a Trump administration. Would they be putting these types of sanctions?
And the Republican Party screamed their head off about the bailouts. They hated it, which only helped wealthy people and allowed the rest of us to go through a recession. So
maybe it would have been fewer trillions. But they certainly don't stop in Republicans and Democrats in total lockstep sending $800 billion to the military-industrial complex. So
no, that is bipartisan.
That's bipartisan. So both parties are corrupt. We're not sitting here in favor of any one party.
So let's go over what we've been through. We have a war that's not a war, hasn't been declared by Congress, but it's supposed to be ours. We have a recession that's not a recession, has not been declared. Like, do we ever? I mean, I know Congress doesn't vote on calling things a recession, but are we just never going to use that word? It's the new, we tiptoe around it,
Right.
We're not allowed.
We're not going to say it.
We don't say it, recession?
No, we won't call it. Sorry, the president keeps getting pressed on this question about the recession. They're trying to change the subject on it. They're not going to talk about it because the moment the words recession come out of the White House's mouth, they're done. They're going to lose this election. The midterm election is going to be an absolute bloodbath. So it's going to be traumatic for them.
Yeah.
And so you cannot admit that it's a recession. You can't talk about it. Remember what happened to George H.W. Bush?
All this cancel culture. The words war, the words recession, the words fair market, right? It's like we're starting to get to this point where we don't call things what they are because we're just so afraid of them and afraid of actually suffering the consequences collectively and coming up with a better culture.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We've been banned, we've been blocked, we've been censored. That's why we started our own website to stay connected with you for free.
That's right. So head on over to redacted.inc and make sure you're connected with us. You can sign up again at redacted.inc, not .com.